But there's one prepper in Scotland who's bucking the trend and prepping without preps.
You don't need any fancy kit, because all the fancy kit's out there.
6 AM and -3 degrees Celsius, and 45-year-old factory worker Stuart is waking up after spending the night in a shelter he built himself.
If normal people had to do this, there'd probably be a lot less people on the planet, because survival is survival of the fittest.
Many preppers believe that we are closer than ever to a complete collapse of civilization. In September 2008, to some, the global financial system seemed poised for collapse. Lehman Brothers folded, many other banks reached the brink, and it took trillions of dollars of bailouts from Western governments to save them. Stuart believes the next financial shock could be even worse.
Every major civilization has collapsed. The people who maybe had knowledge and skills for hunting and trapping things would survive. If there was some sort of disaster, people could head out to places like this. I know I would, because I'm comfortable with my skill sets, and in fact I find it a pleasure to be up here, to be honest.
Every week, Stuart leaves his wife and 2 daughters at home to practice his survival skills.
It's fine reading books and looking at diagrams, and it's not until you actually practice it yourself then you understand. But then you hone that skill until it becomes second nature.
Today, he's making an animal trap.
Basically what I'm making here is a deadfall trap. Basically use a heavy object to fall on the animal to dispatch it. You can upscale, downscale with this to suit any size game, from mice to deer. What we have here is the part of the trigger mechanism for the trap. What we need is the Y stick. Your trigger mechanism will be in under here, attached to 2 pieces of cord, so it's giving you 2 trip wires. When the animal walks in, it pulls the trigger out, your deadfall comes down and does the coup de grace.
All across Britain, preppers are practicing making animal traps. In Scotland, Stuart is after deer, so his trap needs to be big. And because Stuart is preparing to survive a global financial collapse, his trap also needs to cost nothing.
It's easy to fall into the kit trap and throw money at it. To me, you've got to go back to the basics, and then everything else comes easy. It's for my own self-knowledge that I have made the trap, I've practiced it, and know that the mechanics of it work, that I've now stored it in here, how to build it, how to use it. So there we have, get my breath back, the deadfall trap for larger game. As you can see with the trap wires, they're fairly loose. If it was too tight, it would fall, hit on the back of the head. Whereas to dispatch the animal, you want the animal's shoulders to be under, so the head is past its shoulders, then the deadfall drops, thus crushing the rib cage on impact. Hopefully gets you your tea, your meal. I wasn't expecting it to trip there.
Stuart won't be catching any deer with this trap, because it's illegal. But his plan to survive without expensive kit doesn't stop with traps. Back home he has a shed full of handcrafted weapons and tools.
For hunting and fishing, we have bows. So I have to have the knowledge how to make a bow, and then obviously you need arrows, which are the hardest part to make, and what we have is a bone tip, and then what we do is bind it with sinew, and then we have the glue on top, which is pine resin mixed with charcoal dust. With this you could hunt anything from the size of rabbit up to deer. So by making the arrow, you're self-sufficient. You can fill your stomach basically. You can go, for instance, to something like a fish trap using hazel. Seeing the bait inside, can't get in, has to go up through the cone to get into it, and once it's inside they can't get back out again. Yeah, a lot of preppers are using modern kit. It's easy to throw money at it, but once you're in a scenario where money isn't applicable anymore, then that's where these skills become important.